Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is for Mr. Gooch. First of all, I have to say it's very gratifying to hear Terminal 2 mentioned several times in the context of delegate presentations, given I spent 10 years working on that project and know how difficult it was to get across the line. But if you get out of the spotlight of the high-profile projects like Terminal 2 and Contrecoeur and also the expansions in Prince Rupert, what I would see is in aggregate is nation-building projects that would be eligible candidates maybe for this. Pardon me? I'm sorry, I saw somebody, our leader was trying to signal something to me. Beyond those projects that are nation building, or I see these some smaller projects in the aggregate as nation building, and those are like gateway projects, road and rail debottlenecking projects, those kinds of projects along trade corridors, both in the vicinity of Canada's ports, but also across the country. Now, those projects have a broad benefit, and it's widely dispersed, and in my experience, there's not adequate funding available to get those things built. Yet port authorities have been asked to carry the burden on that and try and arbitrate who's going to pay for them. Have you had discussions with the government about how those projects will be funded in the context of this prioritization under C-5?
Thank you for the question. And well, certainly we were pleased to see a commitment for an additional $5 billion through a Trade Diversification Corridors Fund, which was announced in the speech from the throne. But you're correct, not everything is going to be funded through government funding and shouldn't necessarily be. If I was here last year, again, my priorities wouldn't just have been on getting projects moved more quickly. They would also have been on greater flexibility for port authorities and how they can fund projects. As CPAs, ports are restricted in several ways in terms of how they can operate financially. They have strict borrowing limits, which are written into letters patent. It can take years to have those changed, and they're usually far less than the capacity of a similar organization would have if they were a private sector organization or even an airport authority, which I represented airport authorities for 15 years. Another area, so trying to get greater, to modernize the rules around borrowing so that ports can be a little bit more nimble and more agile in leveraging the power of their balance sheets to open up financial capacity. There's also, for some ports, not necessarily everyone, but greater flexibility in the business activities that they can engage in to generate revenue to support critical infrastructure investment. If a port wanted to build a facility on the water and put a tower of offices above that, they might run up against the restrictions on their activities. So really, there's a set of restrictions we think it's worth modernizing in terms of how ports are able to operate, how they're able to generate revenue, and how they're able to access borrowing to fulfill the mandates that they have. Not everything is a big, sexy project with a ribbon to cut, and it's all important work.